Welcome back to Decoding Windows IoT Enterprise LTSC. We talk a lot about why Windows IoT makes sense for industrial hardware, but what happens when you need to run specific Microsoft applications on those devices? I'm Daniel Rainey, and I'm joined by our subject matter expert, Jeff Traeger, to map out the licensing rules for Office LTSC, SQL Server, and the new Windows on ARM options. Let's jump right in. All right, Jeff, so we've done a lot of discussion around the operating systems that we offer, but let's spend a couple of minutes talking about the applications from Microsoft that we sell. What are those and what are the benefits that a customer is going to realize from using those?
Okay, great. We can offer operating systems, server operating systems, client operating systems, and a couple of the applications. One of those applications would be Microsoft Office LTSC Embedded. Formal name is Office LTSC 2021 Embedded. Okay. Or Office LTSC 2024 Embedded. Both products have 5 years of life cycle. They're based on the standard version of Microsoft Office, which means they include Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. In our channel, the IoT device channel, the benefits of licensing from us is there's no geo-blocking, meaning you can license from us and use your product with Office running in any region around the world. Mm-hmm. 2, it comes with a method of activation called EPKEA for Embedded Product Key Entry Activation, where one key will activate up to 50,000 images. The third and final one that we share that we have the benefit is that it doesn't require internet connectivity. If you look at the Office products and within the other channels, they need to be connected to the internet at least every 30 days, I believe the time frame is. Our product does not need to connect to the internet.
What if the customer doesn't want all of the applications under Office? What if they just want to use one or two? Can they scale that?
Sure, you can certainly. Well, the price is still the same. They still have to buy the full version of this, the full suite of those applications, but they can certainly install 1, 2, 3, or all of them. Yes.
Yeah, they can scale it to their.
They don't have to. They can use what they want.
Perfect.
Right.
Okay.
There is one small note. The license policy is that the Office application needs to be called upon from within the embedded application. That's a simple, to do that, you would just simply, within your embedded application, have a mechanism within there to pull up the Office application when it was needed.
Okay.
Yeah. They just want to minimize Office UI.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay. And shifting gears maybe a little bit, but still on the application track, SQL Server is another big one for us, right?
Yeah. SQL Server is an application that can be used along with embedded devices, medical, retail, couple examples right there. The same binaries as in other channels, just like Server that we sell, 2 different licensing models that we usually have to explain. One is the per runtime and client access license model. The other one is by the core license model. Keep it very simple right now because it can be very complicated. There's user client access licenses and device client access licenses. When you're licensed with the runtime and client access model, you first start off with one SQL Server runtime for each SQL Server install, and it comes with either 1 client access license or 5. As you need additional client access licenses, they're broken out into user clients or device clients. Yes. Those are based upon what type of, whether it's going to be a user accessing the SQL Server or a client. The per core licensing model does not require client access licenses. Basically, it's the same SQL Server runtime, but no client access licenses. And you would use that if you're going to have more than 28 to 30 client accesses in your SQL Server.
Okay.
So basically, there's a SQL Server Standard and a SQL Server Enterprise Edition. SQL Server Standard is for anything under 24 cores, and you use Enterprise for anything over. Okay. There's other distinctions between the two, and that's the conversation we have when you come to us and tell us what your application is, and we can help you decide whether you need Standard or Enterprise SQL Server.
Yeah, and the difference between the two licensing schemes is really there's a tipping point between cost and your return as the purchaser, right? So at some point it makes sense to go with one versus the other, but but that's where you as our customer does not need to be the expert on this. That's why we have people like Jeff Traeger who can walk you through this and explain the benefits and advise what's best for your individual situation or not. So you had mentioned that there's different pricing based on the processor that's embedded in the hardware. Walk me through that a little bit. What does that look like?
In the value-based pricing model, Microsoft supports Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, NXP. And within that, there's different pricing categories: high-end, value, entry. And with the latest, there's Windows on ARM. And Windows on ARM has a lower price point. We call it the base level.
Okay.
The reason it's lower price is because it fits into the pricing model. Remember, I said the i7 and the high end were for more expensive systems. Typically, an ARM system is going to be lower price, the processor being a lower cost. Development time is a little less. And Windows on ARM runs natively on certain Qualcomm and NXP processors. Yes. And Advantech has, as an OEM of these of computers, embedded PCs, we have certain development boards that we have brung up, and they're running on Windows on ARM.
As a customer, I'm going to have a choice of up to, it sounds like, 4 different price-based tiers for the operating system. So the operating system at the base RISC processor level is going to be quite a bit cheaper than on a Xeon processor, right? Do I have that correct?
Well, I would just counter and say maybe not quite a bit cheaper, but less.
Understand. So, and also that's a fairly new thing, right? That Windows is running natively on an ARM processor.
That's right. You usually don't see anything run natively on an ARM processor. It needs recompiling. But yeah, this is within the last couple of years. Microsoft has decided to get back into the portable market some, and Windows on ARM, like I say, runs natively on these processors. Windows IoT Enterprise runs natively on these processors.
Yeah, and that opens up a lot of options for our customers, right? Especially those that have some pretty extreme power requirements or size, something that needs to be remote and really efficient, right? So maybe some options like the products you see here on the screen here, but that it just opens up a wider world of the solutions they can provide.
Exactly. I would consider low power and portability pretty important aspects for a Windows on ARM solution.
Yeah. And now you can put that, ARM and Microsoft together.
That's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
We hope you found this discussion on Windows IoT Enterprise LTSC valuable. Please subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media to be alerted when the next episode is released. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.